Hello everybody, welcome to our garden. Today we are going to do a walk through our greenhouse, but I'm starting at the entrance or the gate to our garden so you can get a feel of the layout a little bit. It's going to be just a really short walk to go down, and then we will do the greenhouse. So I'm on the steps going down to our tiny house or the greenhouse, which when we bought the property was here, and we plan to remodel it so that it's a comfortable house to stay overnight. And when I go this way, you will get a feel of the plants that we have here. Of course, the sun is on the west side or southwest, so there will be a little sun going through, but I'm going down the steps. The beds are to the left, and here is the area where we plan to do a seating area, a deck, and our garden goes all the way to the right or to the east, if you will, which you can't see right now, but we are just doing the greenhouse. So I'm just going to go down by the creek. Apple tree, some flowers. You can see our gladiolas are really liking this location. It gets a lot of sun, so they are blooming, and all other beds are doing really well. That's our bee house with our 6 hives. 5 of them are full, and I'm just going down to our sklep, as we call it, or a basement, just really a garden shed. And then to the left there's another door which goes to the cellar, but I'm going to focus on the main gardener right now, who is enjoying a pickle, fresh pickle. And I'm just going to quickly shoot the view of the beds because there's not as much sun here, so actually you might be able to see some. And here is the bee house. Not sure if you hear the creek, but that's here. Cooling beverages there, and there's a path to our greenhouse. So sweetie, would you like to just walk with the camera off? Here you have it down, so not everybody's falling off of the carousel.
There's our creek. So the greenhouse is based on design parameters from Cord Parmenter in Colorado, with the angle of the glass on the front on the south face to catch the winter sun. Foundation is insulated so that the soil stays warmer than the outside. We have the vents with wax cylinders that are activated by hot temperature.
So it's a passive greenhouse.
It's a passive solar earth shelter greenhouse. You can see the yeah, that's where we're going to catch rainwater in our 1,000-liter vessel. But you can see that the north wall is below ground for like 3/4 of it. So that'll help insulate the north wall. The north roof is solid, so it does not catch the summer sun, and it shades the barrels that you'll see inside. The barrels inside catch the heat from the winter sun, and they collect it in water. We got 27 barrels. This is the potting area, not yet done. Okay, but inside the greenhouse, you can see along the north wall, we've got 3 stacks of 9 55-gallon barrels full of water. So in the summer they cool, and in the winter they heat inside of the structure. Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I know, the cucumbers
Look at those cucumbers.
Talk about the cylinders a little, sweetie, the vents. I think those are pretty amazing up and down.
Yeah, the cylinders are amazing. So these on the south wall open up to let cold air come in low. You can see these vents are open. There's 3 of them. And then up above on the north side, there's 3 big vent windows there too, with the same wax cylinders that expand when they get warm. So that opens the window, and we get nice flow, cold in the bottom, warm out the top. So it regulates the temperature, and holy cow, look at all these tomatoes.
I haven't been here for a couple of days.
Yeah, wow. Okay, now I'll just exit. Thank you. There. Here's Mama, smiling Mama.
Yeah. Thank you.
My pressure.
All
Look at
right.
those tomatoes.
Well, grab some. Okay, so we are at the greenhouse, and I just wanted to give you a little overview of what we grow here. So you have seen the tomatoes up to the roof, and also our cucumbers. Here's the gardener. The up to the roof explains the ladder here, because to maintain the tomatoes and the cucumbers that go all the way to the ceiling, that is needed, and that is the tool that I use every other day when I come here and maintain both of these plants. So our focus primarily in this greenhouse were the tomatoes. We love tomatoes, and we wanted to figure out what the season would be for them, meaning how late we can grow them, and which tomato varieties would be suitable for this greenhouse. So we've got maybe 12 different tomato varieties here, from the cherries to the pears, you know, to the beef tomatoes. So we are just experimenting. I also started a new generation here, which I'm really curious how it's going to do. It might be that the short days will really prevent these tomatoes from you know, being productive all winter, but why not to try it? So these are grown from shoots of the existing tomatoes. Here are a few roses that Brad started, but I think we'll have to give it another try because they are not looking very good. Here's a view from the greenhouse. It might be even better than from the outside. So besides the tomatoes, we also have peppers here. And again, as means of experiment, we are trying all different kinds of peppers. They finally started to, well, they have been blooming for a little while, but the little peppers, as you can see, are not too many, but finally they are starting. We actually planted the greenhouse kind of late because the structure was not ready from the construction standpoint and the bed readiness standpoint. So we planted everything early June, which is quite late. You know, we are maybe a couple months late, if not more, to start. Another exciting plant that we have here is the celery. Everything that you see here is grown from seeds, and so is this celery that we brought from Lanzarote, the Canary Island, when we crossed over the Atlantic earlier this year. So yeah, that's kind of a sentimental plant that I will try to propagate. Here is more of the celery, we have some outside, and that's doing remarkably well as well. So that's really good. Another one that's doing really good is this basil, and I just cut it 2 days ago because it was everywhere. It was all over the peppers. So I dried the basil for winter. It's a balcony basil. It has a lemony flavor, and it is very resistant to slugs who decimated our sweet basil, and it has really nice flavor. So I was happy that at least some of the basil we will be able to have for our winter. Here on the west side of the greenhouse, which is where the sun is right now because it's the end of the day, we have a little growing area of the fall plants, and you can see that I need to thin them. That's our kale, but we also have other brassicas. We have the pak choi, and we have some spinach here. We have arugula, couple varieties of kale, and also mangold, which is a Czech variation of Swiss chard. It's not as colorful as the Swiss chard would be, but it tastes very much the same. So these will be going out in a week or so, except the kale. Kale I like to grow a little more just because the slugs and other critters like to eat it if it's not ready, if it's too small. So here we are, some nice tomatoes coming up for us. You can see that the stems have been trimmed, not very many leaves, because we like the sun to come in and help the ripening of the tomatoes, and also the tomatoes to focus on production rather than their leaves. So the tomatoes truly reached the ceiling. I had to clip them up there. We have this structure that was made by our blacksmith, and it is movable, which means that the next year after this experience we will move the top right here all the way to the ceiling, so that the tomatoes can be supported by these red strings that we have here, that we install as we plant the tomato. It goes all the way to the ground below the roots. This is just a companion plant. So we are real happy with the tomatoes in the greenhouse. Not as much in the tomatoes outside of the greenhouse because they all got impacted by blight. So we've got some, but not many, that we could save. All right. So I'm going slowly back. You have seen the cucumbers already. One interesting fact, this has been truly a year of learning for me, probably for both of us, but I've done so much learning about the plants that we grow, and tomatoes are one of them. But one of the interesting fact is that pretty much all of these tomatoes were hand pollinated by me, because I quickly realized that we have just a very limited access of insects in the greenhouse, and so these tomatoes really need a little help. So with electric brush, every other day I used to come and just shake those clusters, right, like this one, from the back of the flower, so that the pollen, is dispersed, and the tomatoes get pollinated, and they actually can continue their natural cycle even without bees being abundant in the greenhouse. Okay, so I am exiting right now. Here is the exit and our barrels. You can see the cukes are still growing, but they're at the end of their productive cycle. We will enjoy these today or tomorrow. We'll be spending a night here today, I'm thinking, so maybe tomorrow we'll make a salad. And here we are, just slowly in our work area. that is still work in progress. No shelves, no really good table or bench. And here we are getting out of the greenhouse. You can see our garden shed again, and that is where our property goes all the way on the hill. And here is the gardener who's been shoveling these wood chips all day, which will be installed at our paths and everywhere we do not want anything to grow. So thank you for being with us today.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.